Hey, what's up YouTube? J-Dub here, and this is going to be my TNA Sacrifice full results and review video. Now, I must say I had to do this video about 4 times, and I had to start over because I actually forgot the name of the pay-per-view. So if that's any indication as to how this pay-per-view went off, there it is. With that being said, going on to the first match tonight, 6-man tag team match. Lethal Consequences and Eric Young versus the Motor City Machine Guns and Sheik, Abdul, Bashir. I actually, forgot that Jay Lethal and Eric Young were in this match because, Jay Lethal, I thought that was Randy Savage, and Eric Young had on Hulk Hogan's tights, so I was looking like, what the hell's going on? But anyway, I give this match 2 1/4 stars. It was all over the place. It was just spot fest, spot after spot after spot. And it's like you couldn't hardly pay attention to anything going on in the match. You had something going on over here, then quickly something going on over there, then something going on over there. The match was too spotty, and it was all over the place. But yeah, Lethal Consequences and Eric Young end up I think they ended up winning the match. It wasn't that good of a match. It was definitely not up to the bar of what a typical X Division match is. Second match tonight, first ever Knockouts Monsters Ball. Taylor Wilde ends up winning. This match was absolutely horrible. It lasted, maybe 5 minutes, and I'm saying maybe 5 minutes. They did give some hardcore stuff during the match. Taylor Wilde, Daffney, something you'll never see in WWE's women's division. So that's the only reason why they got as high as 1 star. But after the match, Abyss, it looked like he was about to choke slam Taylor Wilde or a black hole slam, whatever it is, Taylor Wilde onto the pile of thumbtacks, but he ended up not doing it, and because his girlfriend Lauren runs out, then Dr. Stevie threatens her, then he choke slams Dr. Stevie into the big pile of thumbtacks, so that was over and done with. Third match tonight, X Division Championship match, the champion Suicide versus Daniels. I gave this match 2 stars, and I was thinking about bumping it lower because what goes on in the match, it was not that good of a match at all. But Chris Sabin, he comes out to interfere. He comes out, and I think he attacks Suicide. So then Daniels ends up jumping in the ring, getting a pin on Suicide. After Christopher Daniels attacks Suicide, he's laid flat out on the ground. Then he gets up, but then Christopher Daniels jumps in the ring to pin him. That was weird right there. But yeah, he gets a 1-2-3 pin. Christopher Daniels, new X Division champion. But he calls for the match to add on 5 minutes to the match. You know how they chant 5 more minutes in ROH and everything. I see how they chant that in ROH because in ROH they have time limits on the matches, and if you go over that time limit, it's a draw. But there was no draw in this match. Daniels won the match. He was the X Division champion. But the match ended up really becoming a draw as it went over that extra 5 minutes that was allocated to finish the match, and Suicide ends up retaining the championship. So basically Daniels ended up screwing himself. And I'm thinking to myself, why would you ask for the match to go on 5 minutes more when you got in the ring and did the pin? If you wanted the match to continue, why did you do the pin in the first place? That was very idiotic and very weird. But yeah, moving on. Fourth match tonight, TNA Knockouts Women's Championship match. Champion Angelina Love versus Awesome Kong. Angelina Love ends up winning this match because Awesome Kong ends up getting sprayed in the face with I guess hairspray or something. The same thing we saw Maurice do on Monday Night Raw. And Angelina Love ends up pinning Awesome Kong. Awesome Kong is strong enough to break out of that pin. All that happened to her was her damn eyes. She went blind. I'm sure she knew what the hell was happening. I'm sure she knew that she was being pinned, so that didn't seem believable at all. But anyway, Angelina Love beats Awesome Kong. I give that match 1.5 stars. I did enjoy certain parts where Angelina Love was attacking Awesome Kong and they were outside of the ring a bit, so that was good, but it wasn't good enough since I only gave the match 1.5 stars. Main Event Mafia versus TNA Frontline. really, why did they name this match that? They're just trying to keep the Frontline existing in name only, because basically the Frontline is non-existent. Samoa Joe versus Kevin Nash. I'll give this match 5 stars only because there's blood. There was blood. Kevin Nash was bleeding. You know, that's how people are. They say, oh, just because a match has blood, that automatically makes the match good. But yeah. Anyway, this, up to that point, it was the best match tonight. Actually, I give it 2.5 stars. I did enjoy certain points of the match. I'm not one of those types of people that rail on the big guys. Like, people will automatically rail on Big Show, rail on Kevin Nash, you know, just because they're big and slow. But if they can handle themselves in the ring, I wouldn't put too much weight on them. But Kevin Nash wasn't absolutely horrible in this match. But yeah, there were points in the match that I did not like at all. That's why I only gave it 2.5 stars. But Samoa Joe ends up winning the match by submission. And it seemed like, I think that match was pretty quick also. 6th match of the night, the finals of the Team 3D tournament. Beer Money Incorporated versus the British Invasion. I give this match 3.25 stars. I actually really liked it. I love Beer Money as a face team. Like, I like them as a face team when I really didn't even care for them as a heel team. They were really exciting as a face team. But yeah, up till that point, that became the best match of the night. And as I'm looking at my the rest of the matches, that ended up being the best match of the night. It was a pretty high-paced match, you know, Beer Money showing off and everything, but it wasn't like overboard for me. I did like the match, and Beer Money ends up winning the match. 7th match of the night, I Quit match for the TNA Legends Championship. The phenomenal AJ Styles versus Booker T. I give this match 2.75 stars. The reason was, it was a pretty good match itself, but it wasn't to the caliber of an I Quit match. Basically, they could have just made this a submission match. They could have just made this a no DQ match or Falls Count Anywhere match, something like that, because that's what it seemed like. It wasn't an I Quit match. You're supposed to totally decimate your opponent in I Quit matches, and they were not. It seemed like they didn't get out of second gear. It's like they always, you know, came up to the line, but, you know, no pun intended, they did not cross the line, you know, to make that match worthy of being deemed an I Quit match. But the phenomenal AJ Styles, he ends up winning this match because Jenna Maraska runs down to the ring, and while AJ Styles has Booker T in a submission hold, Jenna Maraska runs down to the ring and throws a towel in the ring. Basically, she's serving as a representative for Booker T, and she basically quits for Booker T. And I'm looking like, what the hell type of sense did this make when Sharmell, she was at the ringside. She came later on in the match, but she was at ringside. She could have threw in a towel for Booker T. I see that'd be more believable than Jenna Maraska throwing in a towel, because first of all, who the hell is she in the first place? Second of all, why is she even involved with Main Event Mafia? Third of all, what connection does she have with Booker T? I thought she was a valet for Kevin Nash. And, you know, what place does she have in Main Event Mafia at all? You know, and this seems like a very whack, weak, BS way to start a feud between Jenna Maraska and Sharmell, if that's the route that they're going in this. So that was absolutely horrible. I did not like that at all. Hell, it would have been more believable if I ran down there and threw the towel in for Booker T, you know. But anyway, let's move on to the 8th and final match of the night. Ultimate Sacrifice match for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. Mick Foley versus Sting versus Kurt Angle versus Jeff Jarrett. If Mick Foley gets pinned, he loses the TNA Heavyweight Championship. Kurt Angle, if he gets pinned, loses his leadership in the Main Event Mafia. Sting gets pinned, he vowed to never wrestle again. Jeff Jarrett gets pinned, he gives up his power in TNA. This match, I gave it 2.5 stars. The reason I gave it 2.5 stars because I absolutely hated how nobody was focusing on Mick Foley. And I mean, this is supposed to be your heavyweight championship, the #1 belt, the thing that's supposed to be the one and only most important thing in TNA, and nobody gave a damn about it. What happened? Kurt Angle and Jeff Jarrett going at it in the ring. Sting and Mick Foley, they go all off into the stands and everything. Then Mick Foley jumps his ass on commentary. Sting disappears. That always happens in Sting matches. If there's a match with more than 2 people in the match and Sting is a participant in that match, he's going to get his ass kicked and just lay on the ground for about 5 to 10 minutes. That happens in like You just trust me. Over these last couple of months, hell, maybe even years, he's been in TNA. Just watch. Just watch Sting matches and you'll see that I'm not even lying about this. But yeah, it took 10 minutes for somebody to notice that, hey, Mick Foley has a TNA championship. That's what we're really wrestling for. Let's go get Mick Foley while he's sitting on commentary. It took 10 minutes for Kurt Angle to realize that, to jump out the ring and get his attention off of Jeff Jarrett to go on to Mick Foley. But yeah, anyway, the match ends because Jeff Jarrett does a strobe to Kurt Angle from the top rope onto a steel chair. I actually liked that part in the match. I was getting excited in that part, but it just drained everything out of me because Sting ends up getting a win and he becomes the new leader of Main Event Mafia. He pushes Jeff Jarrett out the way, goes to pin Kurt Angle. So he's the new leader of Main Event Mafia. This was the absolute worst way this match could end, and I give this pay-per-view a 2 out of 10. It was that bad. Peace out.